Is Fox News going to bring back Tucker Carlson?
I don't know how they can turn this around. I think they have to bring Tucker back, quite honestly. That's where I don't know what they think is going to happen here.
That would be the smart move.
I don't know how they can turn this around. I think they have to bring Tucker back, quite honestly. That's where I don't know what they think is going to happen here.
That would be the smart move.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hey, it's Pastor Marty with the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of all of my rants. Well, there's two stories within the, I guess you would call it, the conservative orb that just are not going away. Dylan Mulvaney with Bud Light and Tucker Carlson being unceremoniously fired from Fox News, having been the number one anchor, not just at Fox, but in all of cable media. Fox has tried to point out that even though Tucker Carlson had a decent-sized audience, his audience was even smaller, though, than Bill O'Reilly. Well, let's put some things in perspective. When Bill O'Reilly was exited from Fox, people were still tuning into quote-unquote cable news. That is not the case. And Fox News lost viewers by the thousands at the conclusion of the 2020 election cycle because it became very apparent that Fox News was not exactly disappointed in Donald Trump not being returned to office. And so as a result, people left Fox News. That was when Newsmax finally started to be able to create a little bit of buzz. But then it was Tucker Carlson who was willing to go places and deal with stories that nobody else was. And he began to really do something incredible in media. He was telling the truth. And the viewers were coming back. And the viewers were coming back. And it was amazing. It was incredible that he was able to do for Fox News, and in particular for their Fox Nation streaming service, what none of the other news channels have been able to do, which is launch into what we call the alternative media online. We all remember how CNN Plus bombed, even with a stalwart like Chris Wallace there. But Tucker Carlson was making that a profitable venture for Fox News with Fox Nation. Now all that's gone. He posts one response from the studio in his barn, and the last time I checked it, this was a couple of days ago, 57 million views. 57 million views. How is Fox News doing now without Tucker?
On Monday, Kilmeade got 2.6 million in the overall. Tucker had been getting 3.2 the previous Monday. Kilmeade got 294,000 in the key audience demo of 25 to 54-year-olds. The previous Monday, Tucker had 445. Tuesday, it got worse. Kilmeade got 1.7 million viewers. Tucker's previous Tuesday, 3.2 million. 3.2. In the key demo on Tuesday, the 8 p.m., got 149,000 in the key demo. 149,000. Tucker the previous week had almost 500,000. He had 481. I mean, we're talking about, 330,000 loss in the key demo? That's the one they use to run advertising dollars. That's the one they care about. He lost. He lost in the demo to CNN and MSNBC. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen at 8 p.m. on the Fox News channel. Trust me, I was there for almost 20 years.
So Megan, that's never happened?
The 8 p.m.'s now losing to Anderson Cooper and Chris Hayes. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Now, we still have not been told the exact reason why Tucker Carlson was fired. So I'm going to go right to the chase because there's all kinds of theories out there, and Megan talks about it, and Bill O'Reilly talks about it, and others who claim to have insider knowledge have about it. Let me just be really clear. He was telling too much truth. Tucker Carlson was doing something really novel. He was telling just way too much truth. When people left cable news in the droves because of all of the streaming platforms and all of the other alternative media that's out there, it was Tucker Carlson who was bringing people back. See, Fox News thinks they're bigger than Tucker. Their attitude is, look, we got rid of Bill O'Reilly, we're still here. Megyn Kelly left us, we're still here. But it was a different time, and things are happening so fast now. The technology today isn't even what it was a year ago. You know, everything is changing. And so this arrogant attitude they have that they're bigger than the star, no, you're not. Not anymore, you're not. Because Tucker posts one video and he gets 57 million views. And you guys are still in this archaic way of thinking that, okay, Tucker's gone, we'll get another suit to sit in there and do what Tucker did. And it's not working. It's not working at all. Tucker's last night on the air, RFK Jr., was talking about vaccines. Of course, I have to pause right here to say vaccines are wonderful, vaccines are effective, vaccines do the job. That said, in the middle of the interview with Robert Kennedy Jr., who is challenging Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination to be president, which, again, is a lost battle. Biden is not going to debate. The RNC is probably going to do everything they can to manipulate the system, that there don't have to actually be primaries held because it's too much of a lock for Joe. And they would rather have that cognitive, mental defective as the president. Why? Because he's not the president, they are. It's the same reason they put brain-damaged John Fetterman into the Senate. Same reason. They don't care about the person. They care about having the representation with the D so that they can actually do the manipulation and the control. And see, Tucker was blowing the lid off of whether it was the Hunter Biden, which we were told there was no there. Tucker was all over January 6th. And it's amazing that there's these theories that, well, you know, Fox News doesn't want to deal with all the other coming lawsuits that are aimed at Tucker. The former producer who now concedes she never actually even met Tucker or talked to him personally. She was just a low-level producer who felt threatened by the other people that supposedly work with and for Tucker there at the Fox News building because they had pictures up of Nancy Botox Pelosi in a bikini and thought that was funny. It's juvenile, but it's not criminal. Tucker Carlson didn't even work in New York in the Fox building. He broadcast from his homes, either, I believe it's Maine or Florida, depending on where he is. So, that lawsuit, Fox News was going to handle without any issue. And then, of course, there's Ray Epps. Tucker Carlson's making my life miserable.
The irony is that Epps was a passionate supporter of President Trump, who went to Washington to protest the 2020 election. But his often contradictory behavior that day spawned a full-fledged conspiracy theory, casting him as a government agent who incited an insurrection.
Ms. Sadburn, who is Ray Epps?
That question has animated Fox News host Tucker Carlson for nearly 2 years.
Ray Epps? He's on video several times encouraging crimes, riots, breaches of the Capitol.
Carlson has focused on Epps more than 20 times on his top-rated show, a half dozen times so far this year.
He's obsessed with me. He's going to any means possible to destroy my life.
Well, Ray Epps is a plant, and Tucker wasn't the first one to point this out. It was actually the New York Times that went after Ray Epps first. And let's have a little refresher at what what is it 60 Minutes said? His sometimes inconsistent behavior. He was a Trump supporter, and he was just there to be supportive. Really? Does this sound like he's just a supporter?
In fact, tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested. Well, let's not say it. We need to go, I'll say it. All right. We need to go in to the Capitol. Let's go! So I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. Peacefully. Fed. Peacefully. Okay, folks, spread the word. As soon as the president's done speaking, we go to the Capitol. The Capitol's this direction. He's done speaking. We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction. He spread the word.
Sounds like he's inciting something, doesn't it? And again, the fact that even Ted Cruz wants to know, who is this guy? Who does he work for? And the fact that the FBI will not answer, and that this guy never saw a day in jail, but the QAnon shaman did. And he's been released because of Tucker's work and the release of the J6 videos. Tucker was telling way too much truth. And Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, isn't it interesting how twice now he's been prophetic? Chuck E. Cheese Schumer said of Donald Trump coming into office, he ought to be very careful antagonizing the alphabet community, you know, the CIA, the FBI, because they've got 9 ways from Sunday to get you. And then poof, we have Russian collusion. Chuck E. Cheese Schumer went into the well of the Senate and basically stated emphatically, Rupert Murdoch, pull Tucker Carlson off the air. So what have they got on Rupert that took him to the place to fire Tucker? Because again, Rupert, even if he didn't like Tucker or like Tucker's politics, Rupert's a businessman who wants to make money, and Tucker Carlson is what generated the viewership of the key demographic that lets them set their pricing for the advertising. Even though a lot of advertisers wouldn't touch Tucker because he's too controversial, but they'll hire Dylan Mulvaney because he's not controversial at all. But Tucker's ratings, Tucker's numbers allowed Fox News to then set the price for the rest of the advertising to take care of dillweeds like Sean Hannity. And that's all gone now. It's gone. Bye. See ya. And so Rupert Murdoch didn't kiss that goodbye because Tucker prayed at a meeting. Tucker was telling way too much truth. Too many of the wrong people were uncomfortable by it. When some of you liberals are celebrating that Tucker is gone, and we're getting headlines that people at the Pentagon are cheering that Tucker's gone, do you understand? You guys aren't even supposed to be on the same team. Tucker was tearing down the false narrative of what's happening in Ukraine right now. Tucker, who apologized for his position on the invasion of Iraq. Tucker was the only one who would bring on anybody who was not, quote, pro-war, pro-military establishment. He was telling too much truth. And whatever they have on Rupert, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer made good on his, you're going to fire him. And the only thing that Fox News is going to be able to do to salvage and still be quote unquote king of the hill, because there's reports out there that Newsmax has offered Tucker $100 million. I don't know that Newsmax can raise $100 million, but it would certainly make Newsmax the #1 cable news network immediately. So Faux Pas News, you're going to have to bring him back. Buck Sexton, the replacement for Rush Limbaugh on the EIB network, had this to say.
Look, I think that this is the first time that Fox is having to deal with an audience that, because of the way a host has exited in this case, feels like their best interests are not being taken into account, right? Also, Tucker gave legitimacy to much of the rest of the Fox primetime lineup, I think, in terms of being willing to, he was the guy who was willing to run into issues that were, too hot to handle. I mean, he was the guy who was willing to actually, I think, push the envelope. So people like me, for example, we're not going to get there early and maybe catch more of Jesse's show. We're not going to get there later or stay later and watch more of Sean's show. Fox has just fallen off of our radar. If you were coming for Tucker's monologue, now your reason for turning on that primetime channel is that channel at primetime feels like it's faded away. I don't know how they can turn this around. Look, I think they have to bring Tucker back, quite honestly. That's where I don't know what they think is going to happen here.
That would be the smart move.
Yeah, that is the smart move, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're going to do. Rupert Murdoch has basically been told, you will sacrifice your company. Why is he sacrificing his company, his ratings, the revenue? Why would he do that? Tell you exactly why. He doesn't have a choice. They got something on Ruby. Or they got something on the boys. Hey, Rupert, we've got CIA video footage of your boys, masturbating with other men and getting, sexual proclivities with barnyard animals. You want this going public? They got Rupert. And that's why Tucker's gone. And he's probably been given another directive. You do everything that you have to do legally to tie up his exit as long as possible to keep him off the air. This is about to get very interesting.